Hey everyone, today's story is going to be a little bit different. It's a little sad and it's a little mysterious, but it's about a woman named Karen Silkwood. And she was an early whistleblower against one of the largest companies in Oklahoma and also the nation, Kerr-McGee. On the evening of November 13th, 1974, her Honda ran off of the road and struck the cement culvert right behind me. Karen Silkwood was a young, beautiful 26-year-old woman when she moved to the Oklahoma City area. In early August of 1972, she landed a job as a lab technician at the Kerr-McGee Cimarron Facility. This was located just south of Crescent, Oklahoma. The plant takes its name from the nearby Cimarron River and the town named Cimarron City. This position at the plant was really a dream job for Karen. She always excelled in math and science. In fact, during high school, she was the only female in her chemistry class. She had even received a scholarship for her college from her studies in science. She was excited about this job and being able to do something with her skills. The plant mixed plutonium and uranium oxide into pellets, which were then formed into rods. These rods were used as fuel for nuclear reactors, which was considered at the time to be a clean alternative for energy. Not long after starting this position, Karen met her boyfriend Drew Stevens and roommate Sherry Lou Ellis. She also joined the union, where she was eventually elected to a 3-person negotiation team. It was this position that she took very seriously. She started observing problems with the employees' safety and documenting those. She also witnessed tampering of X-rays, which was used to examine the fuel rods. If gaps were found and left untreated, it could actually cause the plant to have a meltdown or even blow up. In the summer of 1974, she voiced her concerns to the Atomic Energy Commission in Washington, D.C. It was around this same time period that Karen was contaminated with plutonium for the first time. When a person is found to be contaminated, they were stripped down naked and forced to take a shower. An employee in a chemical suit would then scrub down the contaminated person with brushes, powdered detergent, and bleach. This was a really painful procedure, and it actually removed one layer of your skin. At that time, she was told that she was fine, but yet she had to submit weekly urine and fecal samples. In the meantime, Karen kept compiling evidence against Kerr-McGee. In Crescent, Oklahoma, the union brought in scientists and doctors who explained the dangers of plutonium to the employees and how it could cause cancer. The amount needed to cause cancer was actually less than the size of a period on a piece of paper. At this point, people within the plant realized what she was doing. Many people started harassing her and shunning her because they were fearful that she would have the plant shut down. They all feared that they would lose their jobs, and they didn't like that. On November 5th, 1974, she waved her hands in front of the radiation meter as she was getting off of work. The alarms went off and she was found to be contaminated, and she had one of those painful scrub down showers once again. On November 6th, the next day, she returned to work, and after 1 hour, she left her work area to attend a union meeting. Again, she set off the alarms and had once again another painful decontamination scrub down. She was sent home after that and returned the next morning on November 7th. On the way in, she set off the contamination alarms and had a third contamination scrubbing, which was extremely painful. At this time, Kerr-McGee said that they realized she was being contaminated from outside of the plant. So this is the apartment that Karen Silkwood actually lived in, and it's the one where they came and stripped everything out of here, everything off of the walls, the paint, the television, the couch, the refrigerator, everything was missing out of this apartment, and she had absolutely nothing at all. You can see the lettering on the door is a little bit different. I think that it used to just say 2 right here on the window, but the 9082 is what is different, and it kind of threw me off trying to find this, but that is the actual apartment. So I was just talking to a resident in here, and they said that no one is currently living in here, but I thought maybe there was someone with a welcome mat, and there's some Christmas lights up there and a hummingbird feeder, but I didn't want to freak anyone out for filming here. But a little piece of history that probably no one in this little apartment resident area knew about. So this building here with the light pole and trash can used to be known as the Hub Cafe, and on the evening of November 13th, 1974, this was the last known location where Karen Silkwood was seen alive. They had a union meeting inside here, and Karen confided to a fellow union member, co-worker, and friend that she had enough information to finally come forward and turn in the Kerr-McGee Corporation for fraud and for also safety concerns, where she felt like the company was putting profits and money ahead of employee safety. And so she told her friend that she had this big folder, in which she showed her this huge folder. It was a manila folder, and it was pretty thick. So on the night of November 13th, 1974, Karen would have walked out that door, gotten her little Honda, and then headed south on this highway, Highway 74. Headed straight to Oklahoma City to meet up with her boyfriend, the head of the union, and also the New York Times reporter, David Burnham. So at 7 p.m., Karen left the city of Crescent and was traveling south, going this way on Highway 74, making her way to Oklahoma City, when she ran off of the road right here, temporarily went airborne, and hit that embankment on the other side where the cement is. And that's what killed her. It basically completely crumpled the whole front end of the car. And you can actually see the chunks of cement that her car took out of this when it hit. They're still here. And something that's kind of interesting is this hubcap right here says Honda. So I don't know if it was placed here by someone or if it's just a weird coincidence. This is not from her car. This had taken place in 1974. This is a newer model hubcap. I'm not even sure the particular Honda that she had even had hubcaps back then, but that's a newer one. So I don't know if that's a memorial or if it was placed here by accident due to it just falling off of a car and happened to come down through here, or maybe it washed through here, washed down through here. Not sure, but pretty interesting that there's a Honda one there. But on the evening of November 13th, when she ran off of the road, the first person to find her was actually a truck driver that was coming along this highway here. And I suppose he saw the tracks that had come off of the road and possibly seen her taillights lit up. But he pulled over, and then shortly after he pulled over, a couple managers from the Kerr-McGee company just happened to be driving along this road here. What are the chances of that? But they drove here and they pulled over to stop and see what happened. And that's when they noticed her car. Now this is before any police officers showed up. But there was an Oklahoma State police officer that showed up. And when he arrived at the scene, he noticed her purse, and it actually had 2 joints and quailings in it. And he also noticed that there were Kerr-McGee papers scattered along through here. And so he picked them up and actually put them in the car, and didn't think anything about it at all. But when that car was towed out of here and investigated, there was no papers at all found. No Kerr-McGee papers, no manila folder, nothing. The Kerr-McGee company was actually able to comb through the car first. So because of the autopsy and the police report, they determined that Karen fell asleep at the wheel and ran off of the road. But there was a separate investigation that was done by the family and the union, and they determined some things that make you think otherwise. And one of those was that the steering wheel had been grasped and then bent forward on both sides, meaning that she had to be awake and then stiffened up to brace for impact as she ran off of the road, because the whole steering wheel was bent forward. The other thing that they found was the rear bumper was dented in, and it actually had a couple paint chips that were a different color from her car. So the thinking is that she was ran off of the road. I'm not sure if it was intentional or not, but when she did, she lost control and then hit right over here. Now, she was on quailings, but it was a prescription, and it was considered completely normal. It was to help her sleep, because the Kerr-McGee company was asking these people to work 12-hour shifts, 7 days a week, no days off, and so it was to help her sleep. So it was in her system, but how much, not really exactly sure on that. But it was one of the most stressful nights of her life, as she was having to turn in the company. She already felt feared by the company. And this is just a few miles south of where she came from, not very far off. The union and the New York Times reporter that she was supposed to meet, along with her boyfriend, showed up here at the scene, and it had been completely cleaned up. The car was gone, everything. They did find a book that she had been reading on this scene, and it was splattered with her blood. But that was all that they found as far as any kind of paperwork. It's just a big mystery, a big debate. Don't know if we'll ever have any answers, because the people that could know about it will probably never come forward if they're still alive today, I guess. But either way, it's a set of coincidences that happened, and it really makes you wonder. But she was definitely headed to Oklahoma City with some sort of information. It's interesting that there wasn't one piece of that information available at all. So the location of this is just south of Highway 33 on Highway 74, and this is on the east side of the road. There's kind of a hill this way, and then of course a hill back this way. It just kind of dips down right here. But that's the exact location where it happened.
Karen's family buried her in the Danville Cemetery, which is in Kilgore, Texas. They actually had to go out and buy her a dress to bury her in, since all her clothes were taken from her apartment. Her roommate, Sherry Lou Ellis, died on November 2nd, 2012, from cancer at the age of 59. Her body was donated to medical science, so she actually has no burial location.
So we are now at the final resting place for Drew Stevens, and he is located in Bethany Cemetery in Bethany, Oklahoma, and it's right across from the Wiley Post Airport. You can see that airplane there. He was big in the aerobatic community. He was actually the sitting vice president of the International Aerobatic Club at the time of his passing, as well as the owner of Aerocraft Inc. And he died while practicing aerobatic maneuvers at the El Reno Airport here in Oklahoma. And he was also the owner of Hammer and Dolly Auto Repair. But he left behind a wife and 2 children. At the day of his funeral, they actually did a missing man formation right above his funeral here.
In 1983, Hollywood released the film Silkwood, which depicted the life of Karen. It starred Meryl Streep as Karen Silkwood, Cher as Mary Lou Ellis, and Kurt Russell as Drew Stevens, the boyfriend of Karen. The film had numerous nominations for awards, but it actually earned Meryl Streep an Oscar nomination for Best Actress and Cher for Best Supporting Actress. In the Golden Globes, Cher actually won for Best Supporting Actress.